Hello. So, we come to the next chapter, which is beautiful. Chapter 4, The Naked Experience. As each day slips away, is it the sun who's responsible for the night shadow which the moon casts upon the Earth planet? Then again, is the sun even aware of the night, since it only knows how to shine? And that's the same thing I felt whenever I looked into Shruti's eyes. I knew there was such a light that humans call divine. After the whole day with Shruti, the night sky began to set when she came out of the water. Was this all a dream? And was this woman a killer, a warrior, or a savior? The more one would wonder about her, the more the mental patterns would ripple like waves upon the river shore, while the imagination explored more and more. Shruti said I was free, but I felt stuck because I could not understand that unknowable power behind her eyes. Even though the sun set, and this was a dark night, each time I gazed at her, she offered radiance without words, which revealed divine insight. Right when the confusion consumed me, she took hold of my hand, which made me believe that I was devoted to her. And even though she insisted I was not her follower, I would always follow her. Even the water near her had to surrender. By her touch alone, I found that all my personal cravings would cease. Layers of thoughts, beliefs, and opinions separated her and I from one another. But the moment she held my hand or looked into my eyes, I felt like a tiny child who was held by the pure love of his great mother. I fell to her feet to bow, and I couldn't tell you why. It was the least I could do to thank her for the gift of freedom and the opportunity to be alive.
Do you have a favorite bird?
Asked Shruti. Well, sure. I love the beautiful and intuitive parrots. What about you?
So you love them for their beauty. And of course, I love them too. But the birds I find most rare are the birds who stand to protect the truth. My favorite birds are the condors and vultures because they possess a unique digestive system that can purify waste. Without these birds, it seems that the natural harmony and balance of our planet would be thrown off because of what the others refuse to embrace. These birds are my cleanup crew, while the rest of the kingdom wishes for comfort and consumption. Yet without these visionary beings, nothing would come to fruition. That's why I gave them the duty as guardians for the mysteries of life,
she said. And am I dreaming or am I dead? I cannot tell if this is an illusion because I recall how you cut off my head.
Every experience is a good lesson you mustn't forget,
Shruti said. She led us back to the queen's room, where she stood upon the altar as my memory came back. And in a flash, I remembered her blade when it cut my old head clean off. And without a head, I must have been dead, because in the midst of the memory, I felt a heartbreak sensation. I felt so embarrassed that I didn't even understand, but now I was ready to take off running.
Aren't you curious why I did it?
Asked Shruti. Ready to exit her temple, my emotions trapped me in an unworthy state. Without a head and a face, I knew my appearance must look like such a disgrace.
It doesn't matter how you look on the outside. Remember my vultures and condors? It doesn't matter how you look on the outside, just as long as you haven't abandoned your heart. Fear nothing, for you are the warrior who is protected by the Divine Mother,
said Shruti. As the moon continued to wane, my brain tried to explain the depths of this confusion, but all these thoughts went on to dissect each emotion which could have come from imaginary situations. Was this real or fake? Was I mad or insane? No matter what my mind did, there was no logic that could explain.
Do you feel lighter without a demon head?
She asked. I don't understand what I feel.
The truth is that everyone gets stuck at some point with a demon head, and it's kind of like a mental virus. So as long as you continue to do what you're told, you won't escape the thought patterns that bind us. Come here, my child. You've been given a fresh life, so why not choose to be bold? Behold, everyone in the living world has worn a demon head too. But underneath that demon head lives the headless one who is aware of truth. This truth rests in our spiritual awareness, and so when I slice off the demon head, I come to liberate you back to your original state. Many think they live from a singular perspective, that ego, but within that inner awareness, we expand through the body, emotions, and mind, where we settle into the love of the heart space. Go gaze at your reflection in the river and see for yourself. Now that you no longer have a demon head, you are ready to live from your heart. Once you see your true self, ask yourself, who is it that looks back? Beyond each living eye is a connection into the original manifestation of creation. And such a spiritual force must learn the truth about that demon head we call wickedness. Is it truly evil? Or is it our ideas that confine and cover us? Such vileness may infect us and spread its virus, but that spiritual soul will never give up on us. It will do everything to liberate us. And once we realize this realization changes us. Something takes hold of us so that we can safely navigate through all the muck around us. Just imagine a divine flower. No mud, no lotus. So who are we at the heart of this? That wickedness is only a dissolving cover that we actually call the demon head, and we should wonder what part of us has been decapitated in the process. Gone is the demon head that holds us back, and yet the inner consciousness remains. The visible world is called material because it feels real, but the infinite consciousness is superior because it goes on forever, and this comes into form through the forces of nature. Look outside. Look out through the eyes. Everyone sees from a point of view, which is the place that we call the eye. And life has one eye. This is not about you or I alone, but everyone and anything out in the world is connected into this consciousness too. When we wear the demon head, everything around us appears separate, as if we're lost in an illusion. And this is why we get trapped in so much confusion. And believe it or not, this whole process is what you call amnesia. Only when we are ready to uncover the great realization can we break free from the chains that hold us back. We have all felt stuck, but when we identify with our spiritual nature, we know that there is nothing in the universe that holds us back. Nothing in the entire cosmos is against you. Oh, how could it be? But rather, we are part of a process to rediscover the truth about the nature of our reality. And if you wish to cross the river of life after death, you must prepare with your life upon the earth. You can find your way across, but only when you realize you are not limited by any such boundaries or borders. That way, even if we're headless, we remember how we are created from pure love, which lives in all hearts. At our core, there lives a creative light, and it shines as awareness, which is a conscious force. So whether you worship Christ, Krishna, Kali, or Allah, you actually worship the one light, and that light is also in you. This light pervades all things, and this light is our truth,"
said Shruti. Seated beside her feet, I wondered if we are not dying, but what if we are coming to life? We are all born from the same source. And what if my life is but a single ray of the sun's candle light? Late in the night, after there seemed to be nothing left that Shruti could express, I crept to the corner of the room when I sat beside the demon head. My fingers plopped the demon head on my lap, where I propped it up and gave it a good view. This was my old head, and I felt great compassion for the realizations I now knew. Even though I was ashamed that I wore that demon head, I wanted it to get another look over the sacred river. Together it felt as though we could see past death, where we rediscovered the great life giver. And again, I found myself turn the demon head to bow toward the great divine mother.
All of us forget that we are not separate from it. We use our thoughts to form ideas, beliefs, and perspectives where we are superior to the rest. But unfortunately, this only reinforces the separateness that manifests as a wicked demon head. This singular awareness may think it is in control, and so it does everything so that its own nature will survive and live. Yet there is something within the heart of all of us which yearns to discover truth, where we seek a united experience for all beings, and this discovery is a divine gift,"
said Shruti. She picked up the dead head from my lap and said,
"We shouldn't be afraid to cut through our old patterns to remember what unites us. It seems everyone wants to fight each other, but it takes far more courage to love one another. The world is filled with people who wear demon heads, and so we are called to love them too. This will be difficult, but remember, the real battle is not outside, but rather it is happening within all of you,"
said Shruti. My gaze looked at the shrine of the goddess with the sword in hand and the garland of skulls which seemed to show off her blood-red tongue. She appeared as the wildest part of nature, something like a great liberator. It was through her gaze that she cut off our demon heads, where she reintroduced us back into our soulful nature. Here as souls, we can remember how to love one another.
It's a miraculous process, so let our minds not overthink it. Because as soon as you do, it gives me another reason to cut you off from it."
Shruti winked. This woman was a great teacher who cut through illusions to illuminate confusion. While words cannot do her expression justice, there was a feeling of awe, even though no one could understand all of her lessons. With the demon head in her hands, she set it back in the grip of the dark shrine. And so I saw that even what appears to be frightening or hard to understand can still be a great teaching from the divine. In that moment, I saw through my confused nature, and without a head, I realized I myself was not limited by my past, my mistakes, or even my skin's color. Beneath the form, if we were to take off all of our masks and layers, there is something so pure.
Yes, the naked experience. We all have a center, which is the purest expression beneath this life form,"
she said. So are you the one behind all of it? Did you create this?
"What do you mean, me? The mother and father came into union to make this,"
she said. So how does one find the way to enter into the naked experience?
"Open. Go into the heart of it. Don't resist any of it. Even if we forget our true nature, in time, we will discover how our spirit is fearless. Only the brave seem to discover how our spirit does not exist in separateness. Only you threaten yourself, no one else,"
she said. And what's your goal with all of this?
There is a revolution arising which will transform the entire earth.
She said. A revolution?
The evolution of human consciousness.
Said Shruti.
In the Bible it states, "Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty." And all of us, with unveiled faces, contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into God's image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. The Spirit it speaks of is a force of liberty, and so we can trust that it will not only lead us, but the Spirit will free us. This leads us to understand that the Spirit is God, which is divine consciousness, and over time, we are transformed through this process. Isn't it also interesting how there is a reference to unveiled faces? By cutting off your demon head, we have freed the spirit of liberty, which is an uncovering of the truth that lives deep within all of us. Now before we go, there's something you should know. When it comes to the world we live in, there is a secret to life down below.
She said. Yes, how should I make sense of all of it?
If you want the short answer, here it is. Don't mind any of it.
She said. What do you mean?
Some people think that life is an illusion, but there is a playful aspect to life as well. The spirit of life is like a song, a dance, or a play, and so it is filled with highs and lows. We can learn to enjoy all of it, so no need to over-intellectualize any of it. Whatever happens, good or bad, right or wrong, we often resist life, but the secret is to be present with it. Imagine if life was a song, then how would it sound? Really focus on the music, not the mind's thoughts or the comments about it. The mind wants to think and make more decisions and descriptions, but no creature needs to make an announcement as it falls asleep. Let our actions speak beyond what words try to express. You are what you do, and you do what you think. So isn't this a great paradox? Because what you think you become, and so the mind is everything. Sometimes the mind will communicate with logic and reason, but we can also expand into action by using the imagination. So what if we switched up our thinking patterns? What if we listened more than we thought? What if we took action instead of judging or criticizing? And if you get stuck, you can try to open up through the depths of your imagination. What would happen if you became captivated with life and opened into fascination? Most people want to control life. They want to push the world around. But we can use the mind to take great action in the spirit of service. And if you do, you might find that there's a hidden treasure which reason can never find. But there is a path if only you're willing to imagine.
Okay, so I should not overthink any of it. But what you're saying is that what my life is what I think of it? This sounds like a great paradox. And about that treasure, now where do I find it?
The point is not to get attached to it, but rather open to the naked experience. Life is going to contain our mind's mental thoughts, and this can become our guidance. But you are not the mind. You're the witness. You are the one who hears it. If you want to find the treasure, all you really have to do is be like the trees. Look at their lives. None of the trees seem to mind any of this. And instead, they live with a sense of great appreciation for everything. So when I say don't mind it, I'm not saying we should disregard life or believe there isn't a purpose, but rather we can learn to go with it and know that life isn't about what we get from it, but rather we are measured by what we do in service. So it's not your duty to feel like you've got to climb a mountain to get to the top of the world, but all you've got to do is wake up each day and live in service of the earth. Imagine a wave in the river. One day the crest might think it finally got to the top. Then a moment later it crashes down once the tide drops. The purpose isn't about some achievement when you finally get it, but rather we're interested in the present flow with which we are living. Notice how a river doesn't hold back. It gives and it goes on. Learn to be like this river. Then you'll have found where the real treasure is hidden,
she said. It took a moment when I turned inward to ask my awareness a question. What if the purpose of life wasn't some treasure we get from it? But what if that which we gain is the naked experience from it? Now, using the mind, we can influence our thoughts with questions we may ask. And so there is a relationship which could be thought of as consciousness. When my mind is aware, I am conscious. But when the mind is spinning on its own, then I'm just running on autopilot.
Do you remember the reason you came here? You were in search of a great teacher. Come here, and I'll introduce you to one. Let us learn from the ancient trees which live all around here,
said Shruti. Behind the courtyard, there was a magnificent old tree that had been here longer than I. It was so old, in fact, that this tree had seen the war between good and evil, and not once had I dared to ask it about the purpose of life. Within this tree was pure awareness, and it listened through its leaves. I touched the bark when I imagined how a tree might speak.
My ancestors have lived here for millions of years, and not many people seek our wisdom anymore. Why, I was here before this temple was built, and I know who was responsible for the wars,
said the tree. Well, who?
You're human, aren't you?
Said the tree. This twisted my mind, and so I had to realign and check in with my awareness. Did I have any reason to fear this? The awareness paused.
Nope, no need to mind any of it. The trees were my first students, my original followers, and so their seeds spread as we released much wisdom into nature, and so I call them my wildest flowers. Whether it's rain or sun, winter or summer, nature knows how to surrender to the process of life, because together we are devoted to the entire world. Now, unlike the trees, a human being can think themselves sick. Why worry about anything when worrying can't change the nature of it? If we are to enter into life fully, there will arise a fear that someday you will die. But what if we saw death as an uncovering? What if you knew there's a great treasure waiting upon the other side? Trees know it, and that's why they give their fruit away. They worship the sun, wind, the sky, the creatures, and even the rain. Trees trust in what is happening, and they don't mind anything at all. Even when they're getting turned into desks and paper, a tree never frets when it takes up its next job. Dare I say, a tree is quite proud of its tree rings, and I'm aware how they see the jewel within suffering. Within life is a treasure, and we measure it by how much we give as we transform through great pressure. So whenever you're ready, let us take the path back into the world, and let us find that divine stone in the mystical cornfield. Let us open to the great journey. You'll look over yourself and realize that you are always loving awareness,
said Shruti. As we looked out over the vast world, I didn't feel ready to leave just yet. Heaven was across the river on the other side, and even though I agreed to help Shruti, find the missing pieces of herself, I knew that I didn't want my own body to die.
What are you most excited about?
She asked. She led me to the broken gateway of the temple, but I couldn't help but wonder about what was on the other side of that divine river. Are you sure we can't just run away to heaven? I bet you that if we found a boat across, you and I would end up with a beautiful life.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? But that's not real life. Now remember, the earth is not separate from the divine. Great beings have walked this very land, and there are still some hidden all about. So whatever you do, don't ever give up,
said Shruti. With that, we bowed to her feet, which appeared like lotuses before our eyes. And as I thought back, I reflected on the demon's head she had severed, and so we honored how this was once part of us in disguise. Once I felt separate, but you freed me from the chains with which I have suffered. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for revealing that light, which is now uncovered. What was once her curved blade appeared as a magical wand. She touched the place in the center of my brow where a third eye shone. She gave me insight where I got to peek into the center of the entire universe. In awe of creation, no words could do it justice.
Now go on, enter into life, and be open to its transformation. And if you find yourself in trouble, no need to mind it, but still, you can always use your imagination,
she said. With that, I stepped out of the temple grounds for the first time when I felt a fear arise. As we enter into life, it also means that someday we have to die.
You are not sentenced to death this time, and so I give you the gift of life,
said Shruti. Somewhere off in the distance, I imagined a mystical cornfield where I envisioned a blue man seated before that divine stone in contemplation. Not only that, but I began to think of myself as something like this woman's guardian. When I looked into her eyes, it felt as if I could fly. Maybe I was her vulture or a parrot, but still, I had no idea what type. Off and away. As long as I was near her, then I was on my way. But still a question remained. Was I dreaming all of this, or was I really awake? Oh, life as a bird is not so different, but rather it's quite cozy up in the clouds. The naked experience of life is not only something I could imagine, but it became so clear, and now I knew that we were on the right route. Life on Earth may not be easy, but no matter the species, life within every living body is profound, and that's why we're all needed.